This video goes over the classifying sentences assignments in Schoology. The pharmacist filled, that's the subject, that's the verb, the prescription for anabolic steroids. So here we have a direct object, here we have an object of preposition, but it's still just a simple sentence. Wagon rolled, girl climbed. We see the comma coordinating conjunction, that's a compound sentence. John enjoyed. Now he enjoyed several things. And then we have phrases at the end, and we have a phrase at the beginning, but it's still just a simple sentence because there's only one subject and one verb. Crowd cheered and clapped. One subject, two verbs, still simple. In 2005, Mr. Z and his classmates graduated. One predicate, two subjects, simple. You must come, everyone will be. We see a comma in one of the coordinating conjunctions, one of the fanboys, that's compound. She has, she can turn. We see comma in one of the fanboys, compound. Dog is the subject, barked is the verb, it's simple. We have some phrases describing the dog and some modifiers describing the dog, and a prepositional phrase, but it's still just simple. Janet and Justin are, they are, and then we see comma, fanboys, compound. One controlled, another controlled, and we see comma in one of the fanboys, compound. He grew up. This is a phrase describing he. It does not have a subject and a verb, so it's not a clause, so this is still just simple. Douglas became. This is an A positive describing the North Star. This is a phrase, still just simple. Autobiography was published. Simple. This is an A positive telling you what the autobiography was called, but not a clause. Dentist examined and found. Two predicates, one subject, simple. I earn. That's it. These are three phrases. By cutting the grass, washing, and taking. That's still just part of this simple sentence. Prepositional phrases are not clauses. Complex does allow. Management does allow. Comma, one of the fanboys, compound. Next section. Brother got. Simple. Dr. May was, and then we see who was. This is an adjective clause describing doctor, meaning this is a complex sentence because that second clause is a type of dependent clause. Car pulled up, girl climbed out, comma, one of the fanboys, compound. Underground Railroad began, Douglas helped. Notice the subordinating conjunction when makes the first clause dependent, so this is complex because we have DC, IC. Slavery was abolished, Douglas pursued. Notice this is DCIC because of the subordinating conjunction although. Complex. Fundraising was required. We don't have any other subjects or verbs. These are just phrases, so simple. Poem welcomes. It continues. Notice the comma in the fanboy. Compound. Park is, and then we used. This whole thing is an adjective clause describing park. So this is complex because in the middle of this independent clause we have a type of dependent clause. They were called, children played. Notice the word until. This is DCIC, which is a type of complex sentence. Statue was unveiled and became. So one subject, two verbs, simple. Statue is, it weighs. Notice the comma in one of the fanboys. This is compound. Douglas wanted. And then we see war was. So this describes what it was that he wanted known. This is a type of complex sentence. This is a type of dependent clause. Statue has come. Then we have a whole bunch of phrases, so this is simple. Statue was planned. Statue was not completed. Notice the comma in one of the fanboys. This is compound. Dog caught as it drifted. So notice we have two separate clauses here. The structure is ICDC. No commas required, but it's still complex. Kelsey will finish, which is. And this whole thing is an adjective clause describing noon. So it is complex because that's a type of dependent clause. Last section, we have Trina and Harim went, and that's it. Simple. Vampire Diaries is, I love. Notice the comma in the fanboy. This is a compound sentence. We have Angela went and Martin organized. Notice the comma on the fanboy. In this first part, there's no subject while waiting for the paint to dry. That is describing Angela. So this is not actually a clause on its own. It's a phrase. So therefore, this one is compound only. Regina cast. Citizens decided. Notice the comma on one of the fanboys. This is compound. Fashion designer released. And just some adjectives and some phrases. This is simple. Student wiped. That was. So this is an adjective clause describing the board. It's a type of dependent clause, meaning this is complex. Teacher chose. John and Sarah were selected. Sarah did. We have three clauses here. Notice the comma in one of the fanboys here, and notice the subordinating conjunction here. This is compound complex. Man believed. He knew. Justice would. There's three clauses here. The first two are independent. They're joined with a comma in one of the fanboys. And this last part is a special type of dependent clause that identifies what he knew. So the whole thing is compound complex. For this one, we see woman was fired, and we also see who taught. So this is an adjective clause describing woman. It's a type of dependent clause, making this whole thing complex. They spoke. He responded. Notice the comma and the fanboys in the middle. This is compound. Megan and Ron ate and felt. So Megan and Ron is like one subject, meaning this is simple. Neighbor is the subject. The neighbor howled, danced, and dozed. So it's simple because there's three predicates. There's still only one subject.